Jesus came, everything changed. Everything changed. You remember that I told you this morning that what he did was not a cleansing of the temple, it was an abolishing of the temple. He didn't just want to eliminate the bad priests and keep the good priests, he eliminated the priesthood. He didn't just want to clean up the people's attitudes as they gave their sacrifices, he obliterated the sacrificial system because he brought an end to Judaism. With all its ceremonies, all its rituals, all its sacrifices, all of its external trappings, the temple, the Holy of Holies, all of it, including the Sabbath. Sabbath observance went away with all the rest that belonged to Judaism.
Racism is wicked. Wicked, evil, destructive, and it contradicts the worldview of the Messiah. You might be asking, why bring this up in a message like this? I'm going to say because as a church, we are faced today with those who are attempting to actually infiltrate Christian communities with Marxist, neo-Marxist, ungodly ideologies where they're trying to cause division between God's people based on skin pigmentation. It is destructive, it is wicked, it is evil, and it goes against everything that makes this so glorious. Jesus here talking about the Olivet Discourse and the Great Tribulation and the coming on the clouds of the Messianic King to get the nations should destroy any ungodly attachments we have to our skin color.
All the praises and the honor goes to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the bishops, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you, brethren. Shalom even to you few sisters, I'll say from time to time. All you supporters of the faith of this truth and ministry. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the elect. Peace to you. So anyway, well, we know Christianity has continued to sink in the sunken place, right? We have now waken up and see the truth. And you can clearly see this is why these preachers, even going back to slavery, they set up a certain amount of these preachers to preach to our people, to take them away from reading the Bible for themselves. And when you also go into the history, they couldn't contain us but through religion. So they figured, teach them our God, but put a spin on it and bring a white Jesus. Because after all, if you're a slave and you believe Jesus is white, then this pleases your owner. And then you can pass this down to your children and your children's children. And this is why they get these preachers standing behind these big wooden podiums like they're the people of God. And the Most High never said this, never said to do anything like that. We read as a people the scriptures, right? There was always heads, but look at this, man. This man said that the Most High is not racist, when clearly, has he read the Bible at all? The Bible just speaks purely on racism, which has nothing to do with color, right? But first I want to go, there's two clips to this thing, and a couple of things that he said, right? He said God came, when Jesus came, he done changed it all. he done changed it all. Basically, what our people, what Yahushua came to do was change everything that his father set up, is what they're saying. Now, the Most High is not an author of confusion. So when Yahushua came as the sacrifice, no, we don't have to sacrifice because he was that sacrifice. But that sacrifice continues. This is why we know we're not in the new covenant. This is why Paul said, present your bodies as living sacrifices. Why? Because they were saying that, well, how are we supposed to sacrifice? So Paul said, present your bodies as the living sacrifice, acceptable to the Most High. Yahushua came and said, this is what he said. First of all, there's several scriptures that says, I come to do the will of my Father. These pastors and preachers are making it seem like the Most High sent Yahushua, his son, came down to change everything. And this is why they believe in that one God, that Trinity BS. Matthew 5:17. Which the Trinity, that's another video. I don't know how that they believe a special man came down and impregnated Mary, right? But then if they're all one and they all believe and think the same, or they all the same, then he impregnated himself inside Mary. This is crazy. But let's go on. This is Matthew 5:17. It says, think not that I'll come to destroy the law or the prophets. What did you think Apostle Paul was doing? There was men who didn't believe in the prophets. They didn't believe in Yahushua. He was trying to bring them back through faith. Yahushua showing those miracles. There was a reason why he showed those miracles, to bring you back to the faith of the Most High. But let's go on. It says, I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Right? A part of the fulfillment, yes, is the sacrifice, him being sacrificed, but he hasn't finished. When you fulfill, you finish. He hasn't finished what he set out to do. Revelation 1:7 says that. Right? Matthew 10:34. It says, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass one jot or one tittle, shall no wise pass from the law. This is what he's saying. So that would make him being a liar to say, okay, since I died, now the law is obliterated. No such thing as Judaism. This is what this man says. Christianity, man, you've gone bonkers. You just didn't know. But they set him up in these seminary schools to teach him this. It says, till all be fulfilled. So they're thinking that the fulfillment, that happened when he died, till all be fulfilled. See, there's a fulfillment. He said, but to fulfill. But then he says, the heaven and earth shall not pass one jot, one tittle. Shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments. What is the first commandment? Right? And shall teach men so. That's the key, because we can't keep the whole law. But you're not supposed to be teaching this BS. He shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. So now we're speaking on the law in the kingdom of heaven here, right? But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And that's doing what? Teaching what? Let's go to Romans 6. Romans 6 and 11. 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid. Why is this? Let's go back to John, 1 John 3 and 4. Whoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So in these letters you'll see in Paul, he's speaking of you're not under the law, right, but under grace. What he's saying here is you still have to follow the commandments. You still have to follow the laws to the best of your ability. Well, why was he saying this? Because there were certain things that they were doing that was no longer considered under the law, right? You didn't have to sacrifice anymore, which is still presenting your body as a sacrifice. Could you imagine being under a law that you couldn't keep and making it form of like a curse to you, knowing that you can't keep it? Could you imagine a law that came out that said you must water your grass every day at 6 o'clock? and you're not able to do it, this is where the mercy and the grace comes to play. We're in a situation now that there's things that we can't do, and this is why we need Yahushua to cover us until we can. But for the most part, we should try to do the best we can. And that's what being not under the law, because you can't do certain things that the law say to do. Right? A lot of groups say that they can, but it's obviously you can't when you get down in the details of it. So this is where we need the mercy and grace. But this is why he said in Romans 3, yea, we established the law of faith, but we established the actual law. The law was made for sinners. So you had things like it says, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. Why is grace there? Grace is the word of mercy. That mercy is there to help you along. That what these Christian pastors are teaching you is that mercy means it just covers everything and you ain't got to worry about doing anything. Even in this society, lawless society we live in, they still have laws. You drive down the street, there's laws, there's traffic signs, there's signals. You break any of those worldly commandments or laws, guess what? You get tickets, you get fines. If you get pulled over, they have what you call a grace period. You know, they give you mercy, they show you grace. Okay, if you can't pay it, you go to court, or they might say, hey, don't worry about it, just don't do it again. Or you get late on the gas and electric bill. Okay, you can't pay it, we'll give you a grace period. Emissions, we'll give you a grace period. That grace is to cover you. That doesn't mean not to follow the law, right? It says, what then shall we sin because we're not under the law but under grace? Yahweh forbid. Right? So this is why it's said here, ye are not under the law but under grace, because they was carrying the law, they made the law carnal. And everything was solely on the law, but no grace and mercy and faith to whomever receive it. So this man says that Judaism was done away with. Romans 11:1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Wait a minute, why is he saying this? If it has nothing to do with race, this is why I'm putting it together. It has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with tribes, have nothing to do with Israelites. Clearly, if God came for all people and it didn't matter who you were, why would he be saying this? Right? And some of you might say, well, because that's what he identified as. But all can be adopted. Well, we've done several videos on that, and we'll get into that too. 1 Peter 2:9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should shew forth praises of him who have called you out of darkness into the marvelous light. Who is this talking about? This is talking about the Israelites. Ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. Right? Clearly this is talking about the Israelites. And this is why he said a chosen generation. Going back to genealogy. Period. So let's go to Amos 3:1. Amos 3:2. Let me go to Amos 3:1. It says, hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquity. So this is clear. This man talking about racism and the skin pigmentation. Nobody said anything about that. You see how they label us and put things on us? And you see what being called black Hebrews do to you? You see where this goes? How they use this trickery, these abominable acts on the Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites. So as a white Hebrew Israelite, right, that understands the truth, so-called white, Now he's got to walk around with a stereotype of being black over his head. Even us, none of us are black, but this is what they stereotype us as. And this is what comes with that. In order to be a black Hebrew Israelite, you must be saying, well, there's white Hebrew Israelites. And I notice now when I type in Hebrew Israelite in the search, all those people are the 48ers pop up. But they wasn't even calling themselves that. John 6:63 says it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. So who said anything about us being black? That's because you people have put that on us. And then when you put this stereotype on us, and then you use this wickedness on the left-hand side, right, to portray us as racist through skin color. All through history, race had nothing to do with skin color. It's just Edom had a significant color of the way he was. But our fights in Israel was all so-called black people. It wasn't all white people. It wasn't like orange people against red people and green people against other people. People had different distinct complexions and looks because of nationality. But for the most part, the earth had melanin. But where are these guys getting this stuff from? It's all about race. It's not about skin color. But you go fill out your job application. It's black. Are you black, white, green, Hispanic? Are you non-Native American? Why are they asking all this stuff? But these same pastors and preachers will never question these job applications that's putting census and numbering you and who the hell you are. See, the children of Israel, Hosea 1 and 10, said, well, we stand in the New Testament. Romans 9 and 26 says the same thing, 24:26. The children of Israel, which is said in the Hosea 1 and 10, shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. You can number a Negro some kind of way. But those people in Africa, and other nations in Africa, and so-called Arabs, who are just as dark, you would never call them Negroes. So you see where the sickness goes with white supremacy and Christianity, how it goes hand in hand. Right? Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.